Blade Runner 2049 has released its first short video of 3 entitled 2036 Nexus Dawn, and highlights events that occurred in between the original Blade Runner and the new film, specifically highlighting the character Neander Wallace, played by Jared Leto, and his new replicants. I threw the link for this in the show notes below, so if you want to check it out, you can absolutely do that. I just watched it before recording this segment, and I enjoyed it. Now, it's got just a little bit more into the character of Neander Wallace. It doesn't give you a lot. It's very short. It's only about 6 minutes, so it's not going to take up, hour of your time or whatever like that. It's a short video, and it's very much short. It's condensed. It's concise. It gets to the point of Neander Wallace and kind of who the other players in this world will be. It sets in an office where he kind of shows off his new replicants and kind of gives you a little bit more into his thought process as to why the replicants are important. Also, as I just stated in the report itself, it's one of 3. Now, before you watch it, the director, Denis Villeneuve, actually gives you a little bit more into why he's doing these little shorts. And that's when I found out there's actually 3. Because when the news broke, they just mentioned, yeah, we have this new video. But then Denis Villeneuve actually goes on to say that he worked with 3 different people for 3 different videos. So we actually get to look forward to 2 more videos that are going to highlight specific characters that are all part of this new story, but we get backstory on them. Now, I'm sure when, the movie comes out in theaters and then it does gangbusters there, is what I'm assuming, because it looks great. I mean, the cinematography in this film looks gorgeous. So I'm under the assumption it's going to do gangbusters at the theaters, and I'm sure most people would agree with that. But then when it comes out on Blu-ray, I'm sure this will all be part of the special editions, these little short clips and everything like that. But it's pretty awesome that we get this right now, I think, because, it's showing us that it's not just the story. We get a little bit more of these characters. We get a nice build-up, a nice marketing campaign. We don't typically get this with films, right? With the exception of something like a Deadpool that had a great, street-level guerrilla marketing campaign that Ryan Reynolds put on. I mean, that blew me away. I know a lot of other people felt the same way. You probably felt that way when you were watching it. You're like, man, there's posters, there's these little clips, there's things that have nothing to do with Deadpool the movie, but it's just so funny that you can't wait to see the film. I feel like that's kind of what's happening now with this new Blade Runner film, but in a more stylized fashion, right? So with these short films, we get a little bit more. I'm excited about it. I really enjoyed this first clip. I'm going to be honest, I missed the boat on this film because I just watched Blade Runner this year for the very first time. I hadn't seen it. I've heard great things. So finally, I went down to my used bookstore, support local people, and I finally picked up a copy for like $3 because it was a DVD. I finally watched it. Now, it's very 1980s. This is 1980s. This is a period piece. This is 1980s sci-fi goodness all over it. So don't expect these crazy, you hear it's science fiction, but it's very 1980s science fiction. Still a good movie. The story's really good. There's some really dramatic scenes in it, like when he's walking through an apartment-ish thing, and there's all these robots. It's really cool. But check it out. Definitely enjoyed it. Like I said, the link is in the show notes below if you want to watch the short, or once they all come out, you can just watch all 3 of them, because I'm assuming they're all going to come out before the film, because that's what would make sense. But definitely a good time. I enjoyed it. Jared Leto is very creepy, and I can't wait to see what happens with him, Ryan Gosling, and Harrison Ford's character once they all come to head. Joss Whedon is officially credited as a writer on the new Justice League, indicating his involvement with the film is more than originally stated, as simply directing the reshoots. I don't think anyone's really surprised by this news. If you're following me here, if you're following on Twitter and everything else, you see that there's one thing after another. These shoots are going longer. We had the whole thing with Henry Cavill's mustache because he's filming another movie and they wouldn't let him shave his mustache for the reshoots, so they're going to have to remove his mustache for Justice League using CGI. So there's the reshoots are taking so long. I mean, Joss Whedon obviously had to come in and rewrite things to get the film to where everyone at Warner Brothers and himself feel like this is actually a quality film that we're going to be proud to actually put out on the big screen for fans to enjoy. So when he was credited as a writer, I was not surprised. Still wondering if he's going to get some type of directing credit or if it'll just be an honorable mention or what. But the fact that he's actually getting writing credit is pretty impressive, because that means he's really writing at a very high level, and it's a large amount too. So I did some research. I'm a big fan of like business and music business, entertainment business, stuff like that. When I was younger, I used to read the books on music business and contracts. Like I would read like contracts like online and stuff like that just to see how everything was worded. Like it's always entertainment business has always fascinated me. So like while my bandmates were learning chord progressions and other stuff like that on music theory, I was like reading business books and contracts and everything else. So that kind of gives you a little bit of where my head's at when we're moving into this topic specifically. Because when I read that, I went, ooh, I wonder what the contract states for, you know, the Writers Guild of America. Like what's the WGA say about like how much work do you have to do? Like I got like all like nerdy business geeked out about it. So what did I do? I just went to the website, and the website states, the minimum basic agreement provides that when more than one writer has participated in the writing of a motion picture, then all participants have the right to agree unanimously amongst themselves as to which of them shall receive writing credits on the screen and in what form, provided that the form agreed upon is in accordance with the terms of Theatrical Schedule A of the minimum basic agreement, and provided the agreement is reached in advance of arbitration. The minimum basic agreement also provides that the form of such credit shall not be suggested or directed by the company. Any participant may initiate a meeting or other discussion among all the writers who have contributed to try to reach such an agreement. Now, obviously, there's, you know, a lot more legal jargon and everything else that goes into that, but that just, to me, like that was like, whoa, maybe we all know about the horrible things that have been going on with Zack Snyder's family, with his daughter and everything else, like, and the personal trauma that they're going through. But, and he said he had to step away to help his family. But what this states in the agreement is, with Joss Whedon getting writer's credit, that means him and Zack Snyder actually have to be talking to get to the point to where Zack Snyder was like, okay, yeah, you deserve writing credit now because of these reasons here. Boom, boom, boom. Whatever those reasons are, we don't know the reasons, but we're assuming that it's because of how much rewriting Joss Whedon has to do. This also tells me that maybe Zack Snyder is still involved with the overall movie. Like, it's his vision, it's his movie. So I'm led to believe, based on that Joss Whedon is still actually going to Zack Snyder and being like, okay, guy, here's what's going on, here's what we've rewritten, like, does this still jive with your idea of what the movie should be? So it may not be that Zack Snyder is completely removed like we thought. It might actually mean that he's still involved, he just can't be involved at the level he was because of everything that's going on in his personal life with his family, which is perfectly understandable. But it's still nice to see that these two guys are still in some form of communication to bring us the best movie that they feel they can bring us, which, as a fan of these heroes of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, maybe Green Lantern, fingers crossed, it's nice to see that everyone is still in communication, there's still talking going on, people are still sharing ideas, and it's still a collaboration to try and make the best film they can make, which gives me a little bit more hope. I've been down in the dumps on this film, but after reading that statement from the WGA as to what has to take place to see who gets credit as far as the writers are concerned, because again, it stated that the writers have to come to the agreement and the company's kind of out of it to a point, right? They're never fully out of it, but it's their investment, so they're always going to be involved. But the contract, or as the language, the law language is reading, it leads me to believe that this is actually something that these guys have to come to terms with and agree on, which makes me think that he's still involved, Zack Snyder, and Joss Whedon is still bouncing ideas off of him, and he's still bouncing off of ideas off Joss to make sure that when Justice League hits theaters, it is the best version that they could agree on, and Warner Brothers could agree on, to deliver to us movie fans and, you know, DC fanboys and fangirls. So fingers crossed that everything is still on the ups and we're actually getting a better movie than what was originally probably going to be delivered before all of the tragedy struck. Warner Brothers continues to be in hot water, not just with the fans of the DCEU, but with the courts. The Hollywood Reporter posted the news that a Virginia judge has largely rejected the studio's motion to dismiss, and a court date is tentatively scheduled for April 16th. This all stems from Gerald Brittle, who published a book about the characters the Warrens in 1980 called The Demonologist. A motion picture was prohibited without Brittle's consent. Now, if this is the first you're hearing about it, let me give you a little bit more to that news soundbite, right? So this all deals with The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2. Now, Brittle, the publisher of this book, of these the supernatural stories, if you will, he's charging that he was in an agreement with Warner Brothers that they could use ideas and they could all go back and forth, but if any motion picture was to be made, he had to sign off on it. And as you guys are aware, if you aren't, you will be immediately after this statement, there's a Conjuring and a Conjuring 2, which deals with the material sensitive to what was published by Brittle back in the 80s. Now, he contends he never signed off on anything, and they, Warner Brothers, knowingly made these films without his consent. Warner Brothers is arguing that it's, it's fair use, it's fair game, because you don't really have a right to people's lives. You can create these stories, but everything is tied in so closely with what Brittle wrote that he say, look, you guys came to me, we were working together, I gave you ideas, and now all of a sudden you have these two films and I don't have my money because I didn't sign off on anything. I didn't tell you could make these films. So it's pretty interesting. Again, as an entertainment business guy, I like this kind of stuff because I'm like, ooh, what's going on? But it's, it's kind of weird that they would get into The Conjuring 2 and now all of a sudden it would break. Like, for me, I'm sitting back going, wait, where was this when The Conjuring was, the first trailer was released forever ago, and now all of a sudden after two films you're like, wait a minute, I think this is my story. You didn't think that after the first movie? Anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing kind of what unfolds with this story, if it's just going to be, if Warner Brothers is just going to buy him out, if it'll actually go through a full court hearing and then they'll have to pay, reparations for everything that may come down, may not come down. We'll have to wait and see. But I find this stuff fascinating, so I just wanted to share it with you guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing kind of what unfolds and what unravels with this story going forward, especially now we have to wait till April for the court hearing, but it might not even go to court. There may be, like I said, deals on the side to actually satisfy all parties involved, and Warner Brothers may be able to get out of this and continue making Conjuring films because apparently they seem to be popular. Chris Hemsworth and Jeff Bridges are set to star in Bad Times at the Hotel Royale. This film takes place in the 1960s and is a thriller about a shady cast of characters who violently collide at a hotel near Lake Tahoe. Drew Goddard is credited as the writer, director, and producer of this film. So Chris Hemsworth hasn't really had a breakout role that really put him on the map and made people go yes, this guy is an action star. Now, outside of the Thor movies, he's done stuff, right? He did the movie about as a race car driver. He did the movie Heart of the Sea, where it was the Moby Dick story. He did Ghostbusters. He did Vacation, National Lampoon's Vacation. He was in the movie where he was the hacker, the computer hacker. He's had other roles, but they're mostly forgettable, in my opinion. I know he has these movies, but I can't remember, much about the films because it was just okay. So I'm hoping that, with this next film coming out here, that it could be something special, and that could be the thing that really tricks him tricks the light on, and you're just boom, oh my gosh, yes, Chris Hemsworth, this is phenomenal. I know people who've watched these movies, myself included, that have thought wow, he's really got some good comedic chops, and he's also built for action. So I'm wondering if this film is going to be something similar to Seven Psychopaths or Lucky Number 11 or Smoking Aces, where you have these kind of indie but major release indie films with a lot of good character, quick, not a lot of story, but compact storytelling that's really good. So everything is just moving, it's streamlined storytelling to where what's going on. They're not wasting any time. They're not skimping out on any of the details, but they're also not over embellishing anything. You're just getting to the point. We're moving the story along, and it's a great time in the theater. At the same time, it doesn't get a lot of critical response, and it doesn't make that much money. You're looking the $20 to $30 million range-ish kind of for opening weekend. And then once it hits, DVD, Blu-ray, and VOD services, that's when everybody starts watching it, and that's when it becomes a cult classic, right? So this kind of feels like it could have that potential. Now, I could be wrong. This could be a blockbuster success, I don't know. I haven't even seen a preview for it. We just know like what's going on with the story itself. And with Goddard actually writing, directing, and producing, it makes me believe it's going to have leanings more towards that indie, major release indie kind of feel, which again, like I like. Seven Psychopaths is great. If you haven't seen that, that's on DVD and Blu-ray. You can check that out. Also, Lucky Number 11 and Smoking Aces. Like, these are just good films, and the cast in all three of these films is super talent, action and comedy both combined. It's just a good time at the theater, and in this case, since it's all DVD Blu-ray, it'll be a great time in your living room, or wherever in your house or apartment or condo that you decide to watch it. These are good movies, and I feel like this film in particular leans a little bit towards that style of storytelling, which so far I'm a fan of. So if Goddard can deliver on this, doing everything, writing, directing, and producing, and he can bring in more people with a lot of talent like Hemsworth and Bridges to support these two guys, I'm on board. I can't wait to see the first trailer, and I can't wait to see more of what unfolds with this specific story. So yeah, bring it. I'm ready. I'm excited. Let's go. All right, honorable mentions this week. James Gunn of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and 2 fame got the green light to make a Starsky and Hutch TV series for Amazon. Star Wars Force Friday was this past weekend. Lots of new images dropped from the Digital Tops card series, so check those out online. The Crow is moving to Sony for a remake. Sony is also rumored to be making a Nightwatch movie with eyes on Spike Lee to direct, and this is Nightwatch, the Marvel character. Titans on the WB streaming app has cast Brenton Thwaites as Dick Grayson, aka Robin or Nightwing, depending upon how old they want the Titans to be. And Suicide Squad 2 delayed filming until the fall of 2018 due to Will Smith's busy schedule. He's currently working on the new live-action Aladdin film and a movie entitled Gemini. All right, so that's it for the news this week. Go ahead and sound off in the comments below with your thoughts about anything, and keep the conversation going with fellow movie lovers and movie watchers down there.